the end of the road to Macstock with organizer Mike Potter. This is Mac Voices. Today's Mac Voices is supported by MacVoices After Dark. Uncensored, off-topic, and always off the wall. MacVoices After Dark is available as a benefit to our Patreon subscribers. Sign up at patreon.com/MacVoices. Welcome to Mac Voices. This is the talk of the Apple community, and I'm Chuck Joyner. Folks, this is the very last Road to Macstock show for 2023. That means Mr. Macstock himself, Mike Potter, is back to help us wrap up the series and give us the latest information on Macstock Conference and Expo. Mike, it's great to see you as always. Thanks so much for checking in one last time.
Oh my gosh, Chuck, it is really exciting to be here. We are 1 week as we record this, 1 week and a day away from Macstock, and I'm getting those jitters. I'm like so excited. Everything that's going to be going on that weekend. The bad part's the crash afterward.
I would imagine that, yeah, because there's a lot of build up, a lot of hype, and you're trying to make sure everything's working and everybody's happy, and then
that's it.
Once the doors close, it's like, oh my God, you just turn into a pile of Jello.
You know what I always love? Not to derail where you might want to go with this, but what I always love is the Monday after Macstock. There's always people in town, and any of you listening who are going to be there for Macstock, if you're in town on Monday, we almost always get together. We have breakfast, we have lunch, we do something. Last year we just kind of hung out in the park in the Woodstock Square and grabbed lunch and just had a great time talking with each other. And Mondays are always fun. And then the other fun time is like Saturday night or Sunday night. It's usually Sunday night after Macstock ends in the hotel lobby with anyone and everyone who cares to hang out and sit until 2 a.m, just enjoying each other's company. That's always a great time. It's a nice calm vibe after a busy weekend.
Yeah, there were a couple of years that I had to get out of town Sunday night, but I missed some of those, but I also have done some of those. And you're right, it is if you can work it out, it's a lot. It's great that you don't have to just rush and say goodbye to everybody and then hit the Uber to try to get to the airport. So
yeah, one last chance to just kind of hang out and chill.
Yeah. So Mike, again, as you said, a week and 1 day away. So what updates do we have? Some things have changed since we started the road to Macstock. But what is there to tell us?
Oh my gosh. I was thinking back to when I was on this at the beginning, and so much has changed. We've had a lot of changes since we started this road to Macstock. It's like going down the actual road and seeing a fork and saying, that looks like a neat way to go. Well, we took a couple forks along the way. And one of the biggest, and certainly this shouldn't affect anyone who's listening right now, but we changed venues. We moved from our normal venue to a little bit more intimate venue right in the heart of Woodstock, Illinois. It's an amazing facility called Stage Left Cafe. It's part of the Woodstock Opera House conference. Part of the Woodstock Opera House Center, which dates back to the 1800s. That was originally the city hall, originally the fire department, and originally a performance center for Woodstock way back when. And now it's just the Opera House, and they have this neat little facility called Stage Left that's part of their complex. That's the word I was looking for, part of the Opera House complex. And we actually used it for Virtual Macstock 2021. And when we needed to make a decision on moving venues, and I don't need to get into why or wins or whatever, but we had to make a decision on moving venues. I reached out to them, and my wife and I said, look, if they come back and they say it's available, it's fate, take it, let's move forward with that. And wouldn't you know it, when I reached out to Daniel, he's the executive director of the Opera House, great guy. When I reached out to him and I asked him about Macstock Weekend, he said, you know what? We are booked every single weekend all summer except for that one. If you want Stage Left Cafe, it's yours. And I said, fate. So that's where we moved. And I'm excited about it because it's going to be, as I said, much more intimate. People are going to be sitting a little closer to each other than all spread out like they've been in the past. People get to know each other better. Some of the seating has tables. Some of the seating is going to be just right in front of the stage. And it's going to afford us the opportunity to do something that we can't normally do with Macstock. And this is new too. We're offering a virtual pass for Macstock this year. So in the past, we've always offered what I call the digital pass, which was an after the fact type thing. You could buy this and you could watch the talks whenever I got them ready. Well, because of the internet that they have there at Stage Left, and I'm going to find some wood to knock on. You always have to knock on wood when you talk about how good internet is. But they have fiber coming into the building, so it's asynchronous for the techie like you. It's asynchronous, upload and download. It's going to be great, but it's going to be perfect for live streaming. We did a quick speed test the other day, and it was coming back for that facility. It was coming back like 160 to 170 megabits per second upload. So I was feeling pretty good about that. We're going to need somewhere around 3 to 4 upload. So if we've got 160, 170, I'm feeling good. But yeah, we're going to have the virtual pass. So folks can actually buy this pass and watch everything live, really, for the first time. We did it for Virtual Macstock. We did it for both, actually, 2020 and 2021. We did it then, but this is the full-on Macstock with all of our speakers there in attendance. So being able to offer that as a live stream is exciting to me.
That's great. So let's go down that road for a second. But before that, I want to make sure that people understand that as of now, or at least the last I heard, the show was sold out. The conference was sold out. There was a wait list, but at this point, I would think that any wait list holes have already been filled. But that's a presumption.
Yes, actually, thank you for mentioning that. Yes, that is the downfall to changing venues. The downfall to changing venues is that it's a much smaller venue than what we had before. And as a result, we had to cut off ticket sales much earlier. So, say it how you will, ticket sales were cut off, tickets are sold out. Sold out sounds great. But however you want to say it, we had to cut off ticket sales much sooner than we would have necessarily had to cut them off before. But we weren't going to get what we needed for our previous facility. So we moved to this one. I'm excited about. We're going to be filling up the venue, and there was a wait list. There is a wait list, and I filled 5 or 6 from that wait list just this past week because we had some cancellations. We had some very generous Macstock attendees who said, you know what, I can't make it. I saw in your newsletter that you sold out. I would like to, offer my spot up to someone who's on the wait list. I mean, that's the community that we have. And that's why I love this Macstock community so much. The Apple community in general is that everyone is so generous and thoughtful. I mean, thinking about someone else, not themselves, not saying, oh my gosh, darn it, I can't make it. That's awful, blah, blah, blah. They said, I can't make it, but I would really like to offer my seat to someone else. That's amazing. So I was able to fill, people from the wait list through that. We were able to get a couple extra seats, by working with the venue. So yeah, there's a couple names, unfortunately, still on the wait list. I'm looking to see if I can maybe get them in. But I also understand we're a week away. It's hard to reach out to somebody who's on the wait list and say, hey, a spot opened up and they're in Kentucky. They may say, guess what? I have other plans that weekend. I'm sorry, or I can't make it, or it's a long way to go on short notice or what have you. But I'm still going to reach out if a spot opens up. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to save us both a couple emails or texts or whatever. So,
Oh, what did I say?
no. I guess because as we record this, we're a week and a day away. At what point do you just shut down and say, okay, it's because we've had this conversation at the beginning of the Road to Macstock. There's only so many things you can manipulate at the last minute. And a lot of times it's not even the last minute. It's like the last 2 months. So at what point do you just say, hey, sorry, we're done. Even if somebody doesn't show up or cancels at the last minute, we're just going to go with it.
We're probably there. Behind the scenes, here's a little inside baseball, Chuck. I know you're not a big baseball fan, but here's a little inside baseball for you. When I had the wait list and I put in the order for t-shirts, I went ahead and spent the money on ordering an extra t-shirt for everybody on the wait list, just in case, because I didn't want to run out. I didn't want someone to be on that wait list, get a ticket, and then not be able to get a t-shirt. So if I could get the information on what size was needed, I put an order in for them. And all those I was able to do that with before I had to finalize the order have actually been offered a full ticket. So that worked out well. And then there were a couple of people who signed up after I had to put in the t-shirt order, and I just kind of have to hope that we have an extra size if we can fit them in. But I try to do stuff like that so that we don't run into a situation where someone's going to have a less than Macstock experience, if you will. But yeah, we had to, for catering purposes, for ordering t-shirt purposes, for the swag purposes, for all that, we had to know roughly how many people are going to be there. And I think we're probably at the point where, I had one wait list sign up. No, I had a couple, but the most recent one I got was probably not someone who was really serious in attending.
Okay. Well, you have to ask the question because people are sitting on pins and needles. And now I want to circle back, and I ask that for a specific reason. I ask because I want to talk a little bit more about the virtual ticket. And
sure. Yeah.
What does that cost? It's kind of the same question, Mike. At what point do you shut that down because you're going to be too busy managing everything Macstock related as people start to arrive? What's the latest that people can get a virtual ticket so they can be ready to go Saturday morning?
That's a good question. I've been wrestling with that myself because in order to participate in the virtual pass, they do need the links to come and watch the videos, right? And so anyone who, you're right, I'm probably going to have to cut it off Friday afternoon simply because I won't necessarily see that an order has come through on Saturday, and then they'll be stuck without one. And I don't want that to happen. So I will likely need to cut it off Friday afternoon so that I can at least get into the hands of everyone who's ordered a virtual pass the links that they're going to need to watch the videos, which I decided I'm going to do in 4 parts. Because we're live streaming, because things happen, as they say, live happens. I'm going to break it up into 4 segments: Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon, Sunday mornings, Sunday afternoon. In theory, someone could order a ticket Saturday. I could see that they ordered one and get them the link for Saturday afternoon and for Sunday. But if their primary interest is in watching live, I think it probably would need to, See, I'm thinking all this out loud as we're talking. I'm probably going to have to cut it off Friday afternoon. But then again, I have purchased tickets to conferences, virtual conferences, partway through the conference. So I don't know. That's a good question. Now, the good thing is that anyone who purchases a digital pass a virtual pass also gets a digital pass. In other words, everyone who purchased a weekend pass gets a digital pass so that they can rewatch talks later. those who purchase a virtual pass this year are also going to get the digital pass. So that is because this is the first time we're doing this. And things happen. Internet goes out, hardware fails, whatever. We hope that that's not going to be the case, but if something happens, nobody has to worry. I'm missing out. I paid for this ticket. I'm missing out. Everything is being recorded. I've got cameras recording. I've got the Ecamm Live software on the Mac Mini recording. We've got, I think there's one other record. Oh, the mixer is going to be recorded. Everything's going to be recording. Everything is going to be captured. So in an absolute worst case scenario, I'm going to be assembling everything in Final Cut Pro and getting it out there for the digital pass, and everyone who has a virtual pass can watch it later. I'm not planning on that being the case, but that's why I gave everybody a digital pass as well who purchased that virtual one, just in case. Backups, right? We always tell people I have 3 backups. Well, this is the backup. The digital pass is the backup to the virtual pass. So in theory, someone could purchase the virtual pass on the weekend and just plan on watching the re-airs of it later.
Right. Well, I just, since this is supposed to be informative, I want to make sure that folks, because the last thing you want to do is disappoint anybody. And so,
exactly,
folks, if you're planning on wanting to attend virtually while things are live, do it before Friday afternoon. Do it Thursday night, so Mike isn't stressing out so much, because we got to have him in good shape Saturday morning.
Yeah.
Because I know, just every time you and I talk, whether it's on air or not, you are so concerned about the Macstock experience and wanting people to have a positive, whether it's in person or virtual. So help Mike by making a decision now, and getting yours so that you're set, he can be set, and everybody has a good time.
Well, see, Chuck, why did you let me ramble on and on and on? All you had to do was say what you just said. That was perfect.
Well, yeah, but at some point, there are always people, and we love you out there, but we know they're procrastinators. And, so, oh my God, that's right. Macstock is this weekend. I wonder if I can still get a ticket. And so we try to set the expectations of what is realistically going to happen, because it's not like you have staff sitting there just waiting for somebody to purchase it and then send them back out a link.
That's true. That's true. And you know what? It is also true that I may work on a way to automate that a little bit. If someone purchases a virtual, if I can figure out, well, not figure out, I kind of have an idea, but if I can get that automated amongst the other things that are going on this week, if I can, then I'll do that. But otherwise, I think, well, you're right. Yeah. Thursday would be awesome.
Yeah. Okay. Good. As far as I know, all the speakers are still in line. Everything is going good, and I'm probably as excited about this year as I've been about any year. Just listening to the folks who have talked on the road to Macstock about what they're going to be talking about, the topic, the stated topic of learn, is just absolutely right down the middle for this kind of conference. And the fact that it's going to be just a little more intimate is even better, because unfortunately, it means that you won't have quite as many, but the people that are going to be there are just going to have that much more time to interact.
And I don't mean to make that sound like a negative either, because if you look back at the earliest Macstocks, if you look at 2015, the first year, 2016, 2017, we really didn't have many more people than we're going to have this year. But by 2017, we did have more, but we didn't have like exponentially more than what we're going to have this year. So it's still going to feel very Macstock. It's not like it's going to be, empty seats. We're filling this venue with people. And it really wasn't until 2019, BC, that we, we hit over, it was like 220. So that was the biggest year. And then, stuff happened. So like last year, this year, we're still building back up. I think everybody is. I'm not alone in this. you and I have had conversations about this with other conferences that are also similarly down in attendance. And look, I get it. I get it. Things have changed. Things have changed a lot. So if this works out with the in-person pass, if it works out with the virtual pass, that could be a fantastic future for Macstock, for sure.
I love that you're not trying to live in the past, that you're trying to embrace the future and embrace, like you say, how things have changed. Again, we've had countless discussions about this, about the way that work has changed, and
oh gosh, yeah.
Now, and I'm one. I am now 100% virtual. And so you learn things, you learn what's good about it, what may not be optimal about it, and you adapt. So I feel like that's what Macstock is doing in a very positive way. And I applaud you for having the guts to make those changes and let people learn to adapt as well.
And and let's applaud the presenters, yourself included, and the attendees who are coming in person, the attendees who are coming virtually. They're all adapting to these changes as well. And that these amazing presenters that we have lined up, and I should run down the list again here because it's just a fantastic group of people, both previous presenters and new presenters to Macstock, but that they're all willing to come out and take the stage and put as much work into their presentations as they're doing. Just means the world to me. And it means the world to Macstock's future, too. And I would like to continue down this path, too, of incorporating more and more new and unique voices to Macstock stage than, what we've had before. For a couple of years, we had, the same people on stage. Now we've got a lot of those same people who are fantastic presenters, but we have new voices, too. And I like that. And if we can pick from past presenters and bring some new presenters in every year that Macstock moves forward, it's really going to add an interesting new dynamic to the conference, for sure.
Yeah, some of the topics that have been discussed here on the Road to Macstock, I think are going to be probably the first time that some of those things, not everything, but some of those things have been addressed, or at least addressed from this angle. So and you're right. The fact that some of these people, I don't want to pretend to remember everything that everybody said, but I know at least two. Come to think of it, 2 cases I know that there are some previous Macstock attendees that are now speakers, and so
absolutely
that is that says so much about that they want to come back, that they want to be a speaker. That's the quality of Macstock.
Yeah. And, I would actually like to run through the speakers if you have a moment, because I don't know if we yet had everything filled when I was here last time. And I know everybody's been on the road to Macstock. Yeah, everybody's been on it. We didn't miss anybody.
Yeah, everybody's been on the website.
Everybody's been on Road to Macstock. But I'd like to run down this because it's just such a great list. We do have you, of course. You are kicking off the entire weekend. You're opening up Macstock 7 Saturday morning. And then following you is a new speaker to Macstock, Rachel Schmitz. And I know from my conversations with her, she's a previous attendee, from my conversations with her, she's going to have an amazingly unique viewpoint on this year's topic of Learn. And I'm excited to hear her talk. We have Dave Ginsburg coming back. He's going to give another one of his fantastic in-depth talks on cloud services. Every year, he gets a bunch of people surrounding him afterward, asking him questions about his topic and whatnot. So I know that I just know he's going to give a great presentation. Dave Hamilton is back again this year. Your Home Network Supercharged. This is going to be another great, incredibly useful talk, because this is a topic I know folks are asking about all the time. Mesh routers have completely changed the way that we look at home networks. And he's going to be talking about network attached storage. So now how can we take these amazing networks that we have? I've got a mesh network here. You can see, where is it? Well, you probably can't see it. My router is sitting right up there, linked in with 3 other routers in the house. But now how can we take that and plus it? And that's exactly what he's going to talk about when he talks about introducing a NAS into your network, a network attached storage box into your home network. Kirsten Sia is going to be back with another great talk on shortcuts. She has, in the past, given a talk on Automator, which was incredibly well received. And I know her talk on shortcuts is going to be just as well received. She really knows her stuff. And I'm looking forward to hearing her talk too, because there's so much I can learn personally about shortcuts. I just don't use them enough. And every time I hear one of these talks, whether it was Rosemary's talk a couple of years ago or Kirsten's talk this year, I know I'm going to pick up something and adapt to it and start to use it myself. And that's exactly what we want people to do at Macstock. Then we have, coming back for the first time since 2019, we have Wally Trewinski and his Macstock Short Film Festival. We had a great time with the Short Film Festival in 2019. And I wanted to be able to give Wally more time to, not only more time to show videos that people in attendance have created for display at Macstock, but also maybe a chance to get to talk to those who want to share a little of the insight into the video that they made for Macstock and what it means to them, and perhaps even the process that they went through to create it. So we've given Wally not only a little time on Saturday afternoon, but on Sunday afternoon too. So he has 2 segments at Macstock for a short film festival this year. And then we're wrapping up Saturday with Mac Geek Gab. And this is going to be a blast because Dave has plans to bring a number of folks on stage. I probably shouldn't give away too much because it'll be fun for people to see this happen live. But his plan is to bring a number of folks on stage who've been on Mac Geek Gab before and have kind of a roundtable discussion on topics that are important to them and important to the people in attendance. So that's going to wrap up Saturday. And that I can't think of a better way to wrap up the first day of Macstock than Mac Geek Gab live on stage. So awesome. And then Sunday, we have Allison Sheridan kicking off Sunday morning. She has The Power of Learning by Teaching. I can't agree with this concept more. I feel as if I have learned more through sharing my knowledge with others, because when someone asks me a question, whether it's through my podcast or whether it's a client asking me a question about how to do something, oftentimes I have to learn how to do that thing myself if I don't already know it. If I don't inherently know the answer, I have to learn it. I have to teach myself. And by teaching myself, I enhance my own knowledge and I enhance the knowledge of that client or the listener of my podcast or whatever. And that's, in essence, what Allison's talk is about. And I feel like I can relate to this, and I think everyone in attendance will be able to relate to that too. Brittany Smith is going to be joining us for the first time in person. It's her first Macstock. She's never been before, but she has presented at Virtual Macstock in the past. And this is kind of a continuation of that talk. So if you saw her talk in Virtual Macstock 2020, we're kind of seeing, I feel as if we're seeing part 2. You know, this is the extended in-person, let's really get the knowledge into the hands of the attendees talk. And I'm looking forward to that one. Jeff Gamet is back. He, let's see, Jeff last presented in 2018, I think it was. I think it was 2018 he presented. And he's going to give a real interesting talk on high-res audio, which is something that I know I and a number of folks I know don't really understand. We don't explore this world of high-res audio. And after having a quick discussion with Jeff about this on my podcast, I realized I really should. There's a lot of interesting nuances to music that we are missing out on these days with digital music unless we can enhance it with high resolution audio, or by way of high resolution audio, I should say. By taking part and purchasing and listening to high resolution audio, there's a lot of stuff that we can pick up, nuances that we can pick up in music that we're just not hearing these days because it's all ones and zeros. Jill McKinley is going to be speaking at Macstock for the first time. This is interesting. Jill's talk is, in essence, about her transition from Windows to the Mac. And I know that sounds simple, but as she shared this talk with me and as she shared it on Road to Macstock, there's really a lot of great information in there that folks will be able to pick up on, and whether they've been a longtime Mac user or relatively new Mac user. I know a lot of folks who are new Mac users or newish Mac users who are going to be at Macstock this year. I think she's going to have just a little bit in there for everyone. And being a first-time presenter at Macstock, she's not a first-time presenter. She has a lot of experience presenting, but being a first-time presenter at Macstock and referred to Macstock by Allison. So we have that, that little extra endorsement for her talk as well, is going to be exciting. Marty Gencius, another longtime Macstock attendee, but first-time presenter. And he's going to give a presentation on artificial intelligence, which, as we know, is on everybody's lips these days. I just used an amazing program not 20 minutes before we started this recording, an amazing program called Mac Whisper, which is AI-based, and I used it to transcribe a video for a client of mine, a short little 3-minute video that she needed a transcription of, and didn't want to pay some service to do. And I said, you know what? I've been wanting to play a little bit more with Mac Whisper. Let me run it through there. And gosh darn, if that wasn't a spot on transcription of that video, it was amazing. And it's done in seconds. Well, obviously, Marty's talk is not going to be about Mac Whisper specifically, but about AI in general. And I am looking forward to that. By the way, any of these, you can go to the Macstock site, go to the schedule, click on the talk itself, and learn more about these talks when and where I'm not explaining them well enough. And then we're actually going to wrap up. I think this is a great way to wrap up the weekend. Aside from the film festival, which I already mentioned, we're going to be bookending the weekend. Let's put it that way, with Mike Schmitz. Mike is a longtime favorite presenter at Macstock. People love his talks, and he's going to be presenting on personal knowledge management. And his talks are always just detailed enough to get me as a listener wanting to explore the topics he presents on just a little bit more. He does a really good job of that. And every year he presents, I know I learned something new. And I remember, I think it was last year. I think it was last year when he presented. My dad heard his talk and immediately went out and started to explore some of the topics that he was presenting on himself. And, my dad's not a techie person, but when you can get him interested in wanting to learn more about something like that, he's done a good job presenting. And Mike is such a great presenter. I think that it's and well, I don't want to say rehearsed, but well prepared. He spends a lot of time preparing his talks, a lot of time preparing the slides, a lot of time preparing and getting ready what it is he's going to talk about, to the point where I hope I'm not giving away anything, but for past talks, I won't say for this year, but for past talks, he pre-prepares his demos. Like, he records his demos. He doesn't even do them live. He records them and then he narrates them as he presents at Macstock, which is just a perfect way to do it when you think about it. How many times do you see a presentation being given and it just all goes south within the first 30 seconds? That doesn't happen with Mike because he prepares the presentations ahead of time and then just narrates through them as he's showing them, which is brilliant. I wish I'd thought of that when I've given presentations in the past. So yeah, Mike's going to be, wrapping up just a fantastic week of talks. And then we're going to really wrap up the day with the second day of the Wally Short Film Festival. So yeah, it's going to be a good time.
Mike Potter is back next time to finish up our conversation about Macstock Conference and Expo 2023, the virtual tickets, the digital pass, and more. That's next time on Mac Voices. I'll see you then. As always, I'm Chuck Joyner. Thanks for watching. Visit MacVoices.com for show notes and to connect with Chuck on social media. Get involved in our Facebook group or like our Facebook page, and get more out of your Apple tech with Mac Voices Magazine, free on Flipboard and on the web. And if you find value in it all, consider supporting us through either our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/MacVoices or by making a one-time donation via the PayPal link on our front page and in the show notes of each episode. You will join these fine people who help bring you Mac Voices. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com. Bandwidth provided by CacheFly at cachefly.com.